Today I have a guest with me. It is my brother, aka my brother-in-law, Johnny Ross.
Yo, yo.
And we are going to go over some questions and kind of get a different feel on each other's answers for it. Our first question, first, Johnny Ross, introduce yourself.
I'm Johnny Ross. I am turning 20 in 6 days, and I live in Kalispell, Montana.
Have you been in relationships?
Many.
How many?
I think like 7.
7? What's your longest one you had?
Longest one I had was like 7 months.
How long ago?
That was like 2 years ago, and it was online.
Online relationship?
Yeah.
Never met him at all?
Nope.
What about an in-person relationship?
In person, I've had 2, and the longest one was like 6 months.
Who was that?
I will not disclose the name.
No, that's all right. Okay, so 6 months, your longest in person, and then about 8 months was your
was my online.
Yeah. All right, and those relationships, obviously, they ended, or are you still in them?
Ended. I'm single.
They ended. Okay, and was it like a good ending, or like how did it feel when those?
A lot of them are different. Some of them were on good terms, but the majority have been on bad terms.
So now one thing that I want to take away from this is that a lot of people are like, oh, they were only together for a few weeks or a few months, whatever. Heartbreak is heartbreak, right? Like, yeah, I'm coming out of 11-year marriage. You've had relationships that were 7 months, 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter because when your heart breaks, it breaks. When you're leaving someone, you leave someone. Doesn't matter how long. It's still the same feeling, right?
It's still the same pain.
Yeah. So let's get into our first question. Have you ever stayed in something even though you knew it was hurting you?
Oh yeah, 100%. I've been cheated on, and I stayed because I loved them, and I felt like it was the right thing to do, and I thought the pain was worth it because it was love. But I feel like you're just blinded by that, and it's not really love. You just want someone to love you back, so you stay and push through the pain, even though they're never going to be the person you want them to be.
All right, that's solid. I have definitely stayed in something, even though it was hurting.
Yeah, what's your response to that question?
For sure, I have 100%. And in the moment, I really didn't realize it was hurting me until afterwards. And I mean, even now, I still don't really realize it too much. And I think it's going to take a lot more healing to truly understand the feeling of how I was being hurt. But like you said, you're blinded by the love, so.
Which is one-sided most of the time, you know. It's usually
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's situational, you know, because some people have great relationships, some people have bad relationships, and they just end on terms that are good, and some people end on bad terms. And
I think ending on good terms almost hurts worse than ending on bad terms.
I agree,
because if you're both good people and you love each other, but you just can't work it out, that's a different type of pain.
And you take away everything that I had in this that I said earlier, and relates to 100%.
Oh, 100%.
Next question. Was there a moment you knew it was time to walk away, but you didn't?
Yes. When I got cheated on, yes. Yeah, I think once someone cheats, you should never go back. This is my personal opinion. And if we're not, besides cheating, there's been times where you can just like tell or just see how a person feels just by being with them and be like, yeah, this isn't going to work. And you need to have a talk with them, but you don't because you want to be ignorant and you want to stay because ignorance is bliss. And you feel like, oh, maybe there's a chance they'll change their mind. But there was a moment when I kind of knew that they didn't love me anymore, and I stayed anyway.
In hopes that the love would come back?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
You should never do that to yourself, though.
You shouldn't. I remember someone told me, once a cheater, always a cheater.
Yeah.
Now, maybe sometimes they won't cheat again, and sometimes they will, whether it's quotation marks on quotation marks, cheating or not.
Yeah.
Whether you're separated, you're still married, you're still boyfriend, girlfriend, you're completely broken up, as again, it can be situational.
Yeah, because, 90% of the time, cheaters they just have mental health issues. Like, seriously, like, they just need therapy at that point to actually heal, because there's no way you're going to get cheated on and then go back to that person and they'll just be different,
Yeah.
They need to actually go through something.
I've been cheated on personally as well in a marriage, and depending on which book you read it from, once was an actual cheating time because we were together. The other times we were technically separated, still married, so it was considered, some people may not see
So that's more
cheating.
like
I don't,
emotional.
but yeah, it's emotional fuck in the mind, basically, is what I look at it as. Because technically we're not together, but you're still, they're still doing it. And
when you couldn't bring yourself to, do something like that yourself.
I was like, I didn't walk away because, when you're so blinded by love, it's just like, you feel like there's nothing that's going to make you want to walk away.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually it came to that point, which is why I'm here where I am now.
Yeah. You feel like you won't move on.
Yeah. Question 3. Do you think it's possible to love someone and still need to let them go? So, to love somebody, but also you need to let them go.
It'd have to be really situational. I believe it's true. I've been left before and they told me they loved me, but we just couldn't work. But I don't know, it's hard because I only believe in unconditional love. I feel like if you have no desire to work it out, like nothing went wrong, no one cheated.
You don't believe that. Okay, so unconditional, what would you explain unconditional love as? Loving them with no conditions?
Loving them with no conditions. Like just because they stopped treating me a certain way, I just stopped loving them.
What about boundaries though? Do you think boundaries come into play with unconditional love though?
They do. They do,
so
because
that would be conditions though, right?
No, because if you can't accept your partner's boundaries and that makes you stop loving them, you never loved them in the first place. What was the original question again?
Do you think it's possible to love someone and still need to let them go?
Yeah, so I just think it's situational. Like it would have to be something like if you guys were together, someone could, your financial situation would be bad or someone cheated. Like that's possible because one person would have to let them go.
Because you still love them.
Even though you love them. But I don't think if there's nothing wrong and you just have to let them go because you feel like you have to, I don't think you really love them. I think you're just dealing with your own shit and you got to figure it out.
Damn. For my almost 20-year-old, that was pretty solid. I agree, though. I mean, I still love the person I left. But I have to love myself more because
that's the situation I'm talking about. Your situation is a perfect example. You love them, but you have to let them go because they're hurting you.
Yeah. Now, mind you, a lot of my listeners, they don't have the whole entire story to it. I mean, it's coming out piece by piece, but that's the whole point of this podcast is to understand and feel for it as we go. But we'll break away to question number 4. What's one thing you wish you had told your past self? Ooh, let me take this one first.
Okay.
One thing I wish I would have told myself in the past. Don't lie.
Don't lie.
Tell the truth even if it hurts. Whether you're protecting yourself or protecting someone else. Really, you're not. If you knew that truth was going to kill someone, say it. Just don't lie. Tell the truth. Be honest. Not only with yourself, but those around you.
Yep. Is that something you struggled with when you were younger?
Lying?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I mean, I still have faint memories of lying about the dumbest things. I mean, for example, we were teenagers, right? Me, my brother, my sister, and we're all living with my mom. And we had our own cupboards with our own stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I remember the stuff in my cupboard, okay?
Yeah.
So I was like, I got onto some of my brothers and sisters' stuff. My mom, I think it was either my brother or my sister, they're asking like, who got into this, right?
Yeah.
I was like, not me. But it was pretty obvious it was me, I was a bigger kid. Right?
Yeah.
I was a heavy kid when I was younger. I mean, I'm still a big dude, but it's a progress, There's a lot of progress, but that I lied about. I still remember it. And I even remember one time, I went to the store and I stole probably 42 of those 3 packs of gums. I'm talking about? They come with 3 packs in 1 pack.
Oh, yeah.
15 sticks each. Not proud of this moment. I'm not a thief no more. And anyways, I had stolen 42 of them. Came home, put them in a crayon box. My mom saw them. She's like, "Where'd you get all that gum from?" I was like, "Oh, we had a tech deck. The tech decks, little skateboards you ride with your
Yeah,
fingers."
yeah,
I told her we had one of those competitions at school.
yeah. And you
That's how I
won.
got all the gum. Yeah. But really, I just stole them. So, but I always lied. I mean, whether it was something stupid that wasn't even worth lying about, to things that were, not worth lying about. Like my mother always told me, there's a time to lie, there's a time to not lie. Like when I was working at Buffalo Wild Wings and they asked me, "Why weren't you here?" That one moment I decided to be truthful instead of lying. And if I would have lied, I would have kept my job. But I told them I wasn't there because I stayed at a party too late and I didn't come into work. So,
Stuff like
anyways,
that.
yeah, I lied a lot. And I still, sometimes I do, but it's a work in progress, which is the whole point of this, is to
Exactly.
work on myself and my flaws so I can become a better person, so I can heal over time.
Okay. I'd say for me, it'd probably be just self-respect. I'd tell myself you need to have more self-respect and you need to not let people get to you so easily. Because I think the biggest thing I struggled with was I always felt like I was the weaker one, or I wasn't as cool as the people around me, or I didn't know what I was talking about. And I just really lacked confidence and I let people run over me. And I think that was the biggest flaw I had and something I'm really working on. Because you should just always be confident with yourself as long as you're a good person. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on that.
Yeah. Question 5. Have you ever loved someone more than you love yourself?
Oh, 100%.
I feel like that's something that everyone can relate to.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Like sure there's probably a few people out there who love themselves more than they love someone else. Which I really feel like, to love someone else, you have to love yourself first. Well, but you have to learn how to love yourself.
Exactly. That's why I'm going back to the last question. I was talking about the self-respect thing, is because I didn't think I was that important, or I didn't love myself that much.
Well, think about it this way. If you love someone, what does that entail? You respect them, right? You love them and you respect them.
Yeah.
So does love or respect come first to that, though? Like, to respect someone, do you have to love them, or do you have to love someone to respect them?
I think respect comes first, 100%. Because there's different, there's relationships where you don't necessarily love them, but you respect them. Like say your boss, or your friend or a boss. I mean, I love my friends, but it's a different kind of love, I guess. But
respect comes first.
I've definitely loved someone more than I love myself. My recent ex, that's why I was in a really deep hole, because I genuinely valued their life more than mine, and that's all I thought about. But you got to work past that, and you got to understand you got to put yourself first in most scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah, same. Like there's times when you feel like you love them more. There's times when you feel like you love yourself more. Like say they don't want you doing something.
That's true.
That's not bad.
It depends on what it is.
Yeah. But you do it because it makes you happy, and it's going to make them mad. So you're choosing to care/love about yourself more than you do them, but you feel like it's right. To them, maybe it's not.
It depends. Say it's like going clubbing and they don't want you going clubbing. I think it's wrong to tell your partner, "Oh, I'm going clubbing anyway," because that's a different type. That's like disrespect. Yeah, just hanging out with your friend.
Just going to swing some clubs, or maybe you want to go
dirt biking or something like that.
Yeah, but they don't want you to.
They don't want you to. Well, it depends, because if they're always saying no to you wanting to go do those things.
So then would that come to love or not? Or is that just more of respect? Respecting them enough to not do something that they don't want you to do, even though it's not wrong.
Because I wouldn't have an issue with that if it was rarely a no. Like if I was going out every day and they said no, because obviously I've been gone every day and she needs some help or something, instead of spending time with the person you love. But if you're doing it every once in a while and they still won't let you go, that just seems more controlling than love on their side.
True.
And they lack respect.
All right, question 6. When you think of them now, do you miss the person or who you were with them?
I'll let you answer this one first.
Damn it. Honestly, I feel like I'm still kind of the same as I was with them. So realistically, when I do think of them, singular now, I miss a person for sure.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't always get along, but we weren't always on bad terms. We had a lot of good times. So when I think of her, you know, I do miss her as a person of who she was. Because that's who I was used to for 11 years, you know?
Yeah. I mean, so it's a question, do you miss the person or do you miss who you were more?
Yeah.
It's kind of both, because after what happened, I feel like the person who she was is dead, because the way everything switched was kind of abnormal and she's not even the same person anymore. And so I really do miss who she was, and that's who I fell in love with. But I also kind of miss myself, because I'm still a good person, or at least I think I am, and I'm trying to be. But it was a really big hit to the point where it kind of took a lot of that lover boy out of me. And I don't want to turn into someone who's not, you know,
Like where you
way.
just don't give a shit about love.
Yeah, where
I
I just stopped caring and I don't want a relationship and all that. So I do miss that, but it's not that bad. And I still have that point where I can respect others and still look for something that pure. But I think honestly what I need to work on right now is myself, and focus on still being a good person no matter what.
Yeah. I agree 100% with that too.
Because it's hard. You know more than me too, you know, because you were with her a lot longer than me by like 30 times 30.
Yeah. But it's still the same feeling though, you know, heartbreak is heartbreak.
It is heartbreak, which was like our first question. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Question 7. Is it harder to forgive someone else or to forgive yourself? Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a really good one. I mean, for me personally, it's harder to forgive. Well, it's not necessarily hard because I'm really forgiving. And that's one of the issues I have, is that I'm too forgiving, which goes back to that other question where it's like, what would you tell yourself? I need to have more self-respect, because I forgive a little too easy. And I've never really cheated on anyone or done anything like that. So I'd say it's way easier for me to forgive myself, but I also forgive people a little too much.
Okay. I'd say it's harder to forgive myself. Because like I know there's some things that I did in my marriage that did break that person I was with. I'm not going to say what it was, or what it was I lied about, but it was the lying that truly broke the person I was with, you know.
Which is what you were talking about earlier, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I've had a lot of troubles with lying, no matter who it was. This person, my ex-wife, I had lied to the most my whole entire life over the same thing, you know, and it's like, I have to forgive myself. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not forgetting what I did. I'm forgiving myself for what I did to her.
Yeah.
So I can move on and I can become better. So I can quit lying to people. So I can become a better me.
Exactly.
So longer down the road, I don't have a situation again where I'm lying to someone that I'm in love with.
Yeah.
Just because I'm quote unquote trying to protect them.
Yeah.
When in reality, I'm trying to protect myself.
And it's hurting both you in the process.
Exactly. All right, question 8. What's one lesson you learned the hard way in love?
Oh, wow. Lesson I heard the hard way in love?
I'd say knowing when to give up.
That's a good one. Mine's similar to that. I think the lesson I heard that was the hardest from love is that you can never expect to have it given back to you. You can love as hard as you want, but at the end of the day, if they don't reciprocate those feelings, it's not going to work out. So I think the lesson I learned the most, that was the hardest, is that even if you can be the perfect person for them, they can still hurt you. And you have to live with that, and you have to understand that.
Yeah.
Because humans have flaws. Like, it's just who we are.
Oh, yeah. And then that's where also you bring in your boundaries where, you know, yeah, you can accept their love.
Which is exactly what you said. You have to know when to give up. If they're not respecting your boundaries, then that's a lesson learned. Like, okay, then this person
or
is
loving you back equally.
exactly.
Because they say marriage is 50-50. It's not 50-50. It's 100 and 100. Not just marriage, but relationships in general.
Oh, exactly.
It's 100% on both sides. It's not half and half.
Exactly. And they can
You
have
need
bad
100,
days,
they
but
need
as long
100.
as they're still trying.
Oh yeah, of course. Everyone's gonna have bad days. But it's, you know, say you had a bad day, you come home and you're treating your other significant other disrespectfully, acknowledge you did, apologize to them, talk about what you did wrong,
Yep.
talk about it together.
Yep.
Like that's one of the biggest things I feel like most people forget about these days is you have to talk it out. Like me personally, I never talked about how I was feeling. I always held it in.
Yep.
I wouldn't discuss why I lied or why I said what I did or why I did those actions, you know?
Yep.
I would never talk. Like I was very rarely did I ever actually talk about how I was feeling or what was going on. And that is definitely a lesson that I have learned in love is you need to talk about it.
And that is like the biggest issue with relationships nowadays is nobody communicates with each other. Nobody.
Yeah. Question 9. Have you ever confused being wanted with being loved?
Yes. Yes, I have. My last relationship. Basically, I feel like I was almost like a test. Like I was almost like a trial because I was this person's first, right?
First love?
First, I was this person's first boyfriend, first everything, first kiss, all of that. And it was their first time for this. And they're not, you know, young, you know, same age as me. So, you know, they're just getting into this, even though they're that old. So that's why it broke my heart so bad is because I was trying so hard. I would communicate. It was super healthy. We never even fought. I did all these things for him. And then after a while, you know, their feelings just stopped all of a sudden. They said, oh, I don't love you anymore. Well, if you don't love me anymore, you didn't love me in the first place. So I feel as though they wanted me because say I was attractive or they wanted to try it out and see how it is, you know, because I was there first and they want to get into that game of dating people and talking to people. So I think I definitely confused that and they definitely just wanted me and didn't love me.
Right.
Have you?
That's a little difficult, I guess. I guess I could say it goes both ways of being confused with being wanted and with being loved.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I was wanted more towards the end out of the fact that I was someone's companion, you know?
Because you were there for so long and understood them.
Yeah. I mean, you get so comfortable to being in a situation that when that situation is gone, you no longer have it, you want that back.
Yeah.
Versus they want you back because they love you. Now, it could be both, you know, but I've definitely been confused on, you know, did they want me or did they love me?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it both?
Mm-hmm.
But really, you have to distinguish between the difference of them, you know, being wanted because you were, you know, you were the provider or because you were there, you showed their companionship,
mm-hmm.
or was it because you are wanted because you love them?
Mm-hmm.
You genuinely showed a love for them, you know. That one's kind of hard
because a lot of women think that way, and so do men. It's like that's how you'll figure out if it's love or not, because they'll want you when you keep giving them, you know, the attention, the love and stuff. But when you have like a bad day or something that stops, all of a sudden they're pissed at you or they don't want you anymore because you didn't make them feel like they were loved or wanted, and their love was never really there because you were just someone who's making them feel good because they only wanted you. But the moment you're having a bad day and you need their help, they won't be there for you because that's not what they want.
I'm glad you said that because it kind of takes me back to some moments where I've honestly opened up and felt like immediately, like you always see these videos on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Where, why don't you open up anymore? Oh, because the last time I did, you know, they kept throwing it in my face for years to come.
Yeah. Exactly.
There was times I remember where I opened up about some deep things, and sometimes, sure, it was taken lightly and it was talked about. And there was times I remember it was put in my face where I was made fun of for it.
Mm-hmm. And that should be the number one indicator to show you they don't really love me. They're literally using your traumas against you.
Yeah.
And it's
Which
hurtful.
can be a lot of different situations for that too, whether
Exactly.
it's situations of trauma from a childhood or situations from your marriage or situations from, you know, a family member
Yep.
or a significant other, you know.
Yep.
It's really, a lot of these questions I think are really genuinely situational.
Yep.
Our last question we have here is, what helped you start healing after a painful goodbye? I'm going to take this one.
Okay.
I'd say these podcasts, because really I genuinely don't feel much of my feelings even still now unless I'm in these podcasts where I'm writing down notes, I'm making audio clips, where I'm rereading and listening to what I've been stating, and I can truly understand what it is that I am feeling, because not only did I write it out, I typed it out, right? Mm-hmm. I typed out how I'm feeling. I'm also talking about how I'm feeling.
Yep.
So I can go back and listen to those and be like, oh, you know, I felt wrong in this situation. So I need to heal from that.
Which is really healthy that you're talking about it.
Yeah. And it's hard. Not a lot of people want to do it. Not a lot of people want to get out
because it's painful for the start, definitely.
It is. And there's been a lot of moments where I've been in the middle of recording an audio session and I am reading words I wrote down, and all of a sudden I start feeling those words. So I have to stop my audio so I can, you know, take a second to cry or to process my feelings of what I'm actually feeling about from that moment, you know?
Yep.
So I'd say these podcasts really helped me start healing after a painful goodbye.
I'd say I have a similar answer to you. I think just being around like friends or family and being able to talk and just, you know, being around people and trying to be happy and just be around people has been a big help to me. But I think just talking about things and communicating with people has been the biggest help to me. I think just trying to live and be happy and say like, hey, I matter. I don't need this person because they didn't love me in the first place has been my biggest help, because honestly, I matter way more than that.
That's good. I mean, I think that concludes our 10 questions from this segment.
That wasn't bad.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. That was my first time doing it.
And, you know, I hope a lot of people hear these questions and not only hear the questions, but our answers and can relate to them and continue to listen and heal themselves and realize that
they're not alone.
More important.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to love yourself first. Respect yourself and love yourself.
People, that's the biggest thing. People don't heal and then they put themselves in those situations again.
Or they go, yeah, exactly. You go back in that situation. Like, there's been many times where we were separated, we got back together, we never healed during that separation.
Which leads to more
So it goes right back to where you were. Sure, the first few days or few weeks, you're la-di-da, right? Because it feels like a honeymoon all over again because you were separated for a few months.
And the only reason it feels like that is because you've just been separated.
Exactly. You didn't have that person anymore. You didn't have nobody. Yeah. In some situations, maybe you did, but you were like, oh, that's not the same person. So you got them back. And then it goes right back to square one.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm bringing up this whole entire segment of, you know, which is why I'm talking about when love isn't enough to stay, you know, because you can love that person, but the love's not mutual. Or maybe it is, but it's, you know, just it's not enough.
Which is honestly a really good title for these questions.
Yeah.
And it really relates to me and you, I'm sure, because you, even though you love them as much as you do, sometimes it's better to let go because they're just going to hurt you and they're never going to give you what you actually need.
I agree. Well, I thank you all for listening. And again, you know, this is Unfiltered My Life, My Rules with my guest here, Johnny Ross. And
it's been good. It's been a good talk.
Yeah.